Sorry, I know.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our pay-per-view special, number 2. Double or Nothing was this past weekend. So, we did watch Dynamite and Rampage, but it was just hyping up the pay-per-view itself.
Yeah,
so we thought we'd just talk about the pay-per-view. Double or Nothing was actually pretty good.
It was a very good show.
14 matches in all,
Yeah.
but there was one match that was,
Relegated to the buy-in.
Yes. But I was more so saying there was one match that really took away from all the entire pay-per-view itself that was, must-see pay-per-view or must-see match in itself. But
I think I know which one you're talking about.
Yes. So the begin with we had the buy-in match, which
Yes, the much anticipated, highly acclaimed. Yes.
Finally made their debut in great fashion.
And can I just say, Danhausen really
can wrestle.
Yes.
I'm not gonna lie.
Yes.
Yes, he can wrestle.
Like, a lot of people don't take that really for granted when they talk about Danhausen, but he is a damn good wrestler when he needs to be, or like when he can be. He is a damn good wrestler.
So he goes up against the team of Tony Nese and Mark Sterling, and finally gets redemption as Hookhausen beats Tony Nese and Mark Sterling.
Oh, and by the way, if anybody doesn't believe that Danhausen is a good wrestler,
you'll be cursed. And then we go on to the next, the actual first match on the main card. Wardlow gets his match against MJF. I didn't really want to bring this up, but it was heavily rumored that he was not going to, he was going to no-show Double or Nothing. 5 hours before the event was starting, there was no sights of MJF at all. Then his music hits.
At the last
we thought, oh, the music hitting and he hasn't even showed up yet. Well, he did show up to his match, which
literally
is
at the
very
last
professional for him to show up to the match. But there's not really much I can say about this match. Wardlow beat MJF, and he pretty much buried MJF. There was no offense at all for MJF in this match against Wardlow.
Well, that's another thing, too. When you consider that the post-media scrum after Double or Nothing, Tony Khan didn't even want to mention the MJF situation. So there's something definitely going on more behind the scenes that we don't know about, and Tony Khan doesn't even want to talk more about it.
So I'm going to say more it's on MJF more than it is Tony Khan. MJF believes that he should be making a lot of money.
Which, can I just say right now, is completely unprofessional.
Yeah. I hate to say it. Doesn't this kind of remind you of somebody? Like a certain somebody that used to be in AEW and now in WWE? I don't want to try to say about it, but we've been saying about Cody Rhodes for a while now. He left AEW, went to WWE for more money.
I think that,
and now he's apparently happier in WWE.
Well, see, that's another thing.
Is MJF following in the footsteps of Cody Rhodes?
I was just about to say that. I think MJF got influenced by Cody's momentum and his push in WWE, that he thought, oh, hey, I could do the same thing.
I hate to say it's not going to happen because...
Well, first of all, he's going to be severely watered down if he does decide to go. He can't say shit. He can't talk about people forgetting to wear a condom, all this stuff. Yeah, that's what I mean. MJF would be severely watered down if he were to go to WWE.
If MJF was there during the Ruthless Aggression era, then he could get away with saying it because look at what John Cena said and did as his character. Hence why when we went closer towards the PG era where John Cena had to change his up as character.
Yeah, I'll do you one better though. Attitude era. If MJF were doing his character
he was
now
also a child
in the
during the Attitude era, so there's no way that was going to happen.
I'm just saying, if we had current day MJF in the Attitude Era, oh, you'd be hearing the same stuff
Hmm.
come out of his mouth like during that time that you are hearing right now. So,
So we'll say this now. I mean, Wardlow does get the win against MJF.
and he is officially all elite.
Yeah, and he did it with 10 power bombs
Yes.
to MJF. Yeah, and
Just like MJF gave him those 10 lashes, which
I hate to say it, they're Maxwell Jacob Freeman, but
you got what you deserved.
yes, you did. So I'm pretty sure that was all. I mean, it could have been worked. It could have been real life that maybe he was truly gonna no show, but decided last minute I'm gonna show up even if I had to get buried by Wardlow. I'm still gonna be professional and show that
That's the
I'll
least you can do.
work my last match in AEW because
That's the least you can do.
I truly do think that we have seen the last of MJF, which it does kind of suck because in 3 years you've really done a lot
Yes.
and you face off a lot against a lot of great talent
Yeah,
in AEW. But if you truly feel unhappy and you think you're worth more, then try all you want. But I hate to say it, you're not gonna get anywhere with WWE.
No.
And I don't think WWE even wants you. They haven't even. There hasn't been any kind of reports of MJF of WWE even anywhere close to wanting MJF, to my knowledge.
Actually, I'm here to correct you and say that you're wrong because Triple H has posted on Instagram when the whole thing was going on about oh yeah, MJF no showed. He booked a flight out of Las Vegas to his home in Newark. Triple H actually posted on Instagram hey, MJF, come on over, come join our side. So I think if not Vince McMahon, then definitely Triple H wants MJF.
I mean, yeah. Well, Triple H.
He's back in control. He's back there full time. So
I know
he should.
I get
he
it.
Probably could sign
I get
MJF.
He's also in a different role in WWE, where he used
now
to.
He is, yes.
Yeah, so I don't know what his true role is. I haven't heard anything about it. Of course, he's not.
Honestly,
I would think that he's not the CEO anymore. But if
he stepped down.
If he's truly wanting to go to WWE, try it out. But I hate to say, you're not going to be the kind of same wrestler.
No.
I mean, if you think that you're more of a sports entertainer than a pro wrestler, then go ahead and try all you want there, Maxwell Jacob Freeman. I'm just sick and tired of these wrestlers thinking that they can just go up, I'm worth more than what I'm getting. No, well, I hate to say it. MJF, yes, you have beaten a lot of big names, and maybe you do deserve the big money, but you had something going in AEW. Do you really want to go to a company where you might derail your momentum? Because look at Cody right now. They probably.
Well, Cody is a different story.
I get it. He's feuding with Seth Rollins. That's all he's been doing right now. Feuding with Seth Rollins. We've seen it, done it. It's already kind of, getting annoying already.
This feud with Seth is already kind of played out. But don't get me wrong. It is this is where I will actually say WWE is getting it right. It is actually producing some of the best content on Monday Night Raw that you'll ever see in a long time.
Yeah, because Cody Rhodes is a professional wrestler.
Not to mention Cody Rhodes is a goddamn draw.
And it's kind of sad that WWE has to go that route with bringing in Cody Rhodes because they know that he's a draw. Yeah. That's all I'm going to say. So going on to our next match of the card, we have the Elite versus the Delete.
Elite
the
versus
Hardys
Delete.
And the Young Bucks for the seventh time, I want to say. I think, seventh time.
Either way, they've fought in the past.
They have a 4-2 record. I think it's in favor of the Hardys over the Bucks.
That would
Bucks
make
have only
sense.
won 2 times, where the Hardys have won 4 times prior. But yeah, the Hardys and Young Bucks had a pretty decent match. I wouldn't say it was the
All
best.
in Ring of Honor,
Yeah,
at least as
this is
far
the
as I
first
know.
time that they faced off against each other outside of Ring of Honor.
In all Elite Wrestling, Elite versus Delete, and
And
and the Elite has been deleted.
deleted. Yes. The Hardys beat the Young Bucks in great fashion. Um, it kind of sucks
Poor
because
Jeff, though, man. He was like a lot of people pointed it out that like he looked like
yeah,
really rough.
yeah,
And
he looks a little. He's looking like he's fighting some injuries right now. Honestly, not gonna lie.
if that's the case, man, like I hate to say it, like as much as I love Jeff, he should just hang it up.
Yeah,
Like seriously,
that's why I'm saying.
do what's best for
See,
your long-term
what
health.
would be easier for Jeff to do right now to at least prolong the career a little
But
bit
see,
longer in AEW
was,
is going after the tag team titles, which
and that's
I
why
do see that happening.
Yeah.
I'm going to say this now. I really do think, and you heard it here on this channel now, I really truly think that the Young Bucks, or not the Young Bucks, Jurassic Express's next opponents will be the Hardys. You heard it here now. I will say at All Out in September, you will have the Jurassic Express against the Hardys, and I think the Hardys will finally win the AEW World Tag Team titles.
That would be nice.
It would be nice.
And
Which,
not to mention,
by the way, yes, you had the Forbidden Door, coming up.
Yeah, but that's a joint pay-per-view.
This month, because when this episode airs, it will be the beginning of June. When you have that pay-per-view, that is a joint pay-per-view with NJPW.
Yeah.
I'm talking about like AEW's actual next pay-per-view, which is going to be All Out in September.
Their yearly pay-per-view.
Yes, their yearly pay-per-views. You will probably it all makes sense. It makes sense to have the Hardys go after the tag team titles because you already have
right
a different kind of champion as your top competitor. Well,
and it especially makes the most sense when you consider that this is basically the Hardys like final run, like in general, and like just forever. So,
and also, I would like to see the Broken Hardys at least one time in AEW.
Yes.
It would be nice.
Let that be the nail in the coffin. Like, they go into All Out as the Broken Hardys. They win the World Tag Team titles as the Broken Hardys. And then ultimately just, like, call it a career.
All right, so going into the next match, we get Jade Cargill and Anna Jay. 2.
Did this even deserve to be on the paper?
I don't think so. This probably should have been on the buy-in. And then, okay.
I mean, okay.
And also, yes, we do have some haters on this channel. Not on this podcast, but in the channel itself. Before anybody says that, we're sexist and all that other stuff, just hear me out. I'm not giving any crap to Jade Cargill. Her run is great. Her being 32-0 is very impressive by any woman in any professional wrestling company at all.
It's not easy to be.
I am not saying that it's her. I'm just saying more so that Anna Jay didn't deserve to go after Jade Cargill in this match. You could have had somebody totally else. Yeah. You could have freaking Chris Statlander for God's sake. Chris Statlander is more deserving of that opportunity, but yet you give her a loss to Ruby Soho on Rampage beforehand. You could have had her go after Britt Baker, which would have been a better match. Yes, I get it. We've seen it before, but we've also seen Ruby Soho against Britt Baker before. So, of course, we'll talk about that because that's, going to be a little bit further down. But in this match, a little sloppy between both competitors.
Yeah.
If I had to say anything. Jade Cargill can put on good matches, don't get me wrong. But when you have both of them that are still kind of green in the ring, you tell that they're still kind of newer, it just doesn't make for a super great match to see. But I get it. I guess it's just like, okay, you kind of had to give Jade Cargill an opponent, so just give her Anna Jay, which is fine. So Jade Cargill is now 32-0. She does beat Anna Jay yet again, to retain her TBS championship. And we got a couple of debuts.
Well, here's the thing. Before you get into the debuts, I'm just going to cut you off real quick and say you could have had Nyla Rose for
Yeah,
potential
I was about to say,
opponent.
why doesn't she go after the TBS championship? She would have been a great opponent. I mean,
She would be a
for
credible opponent as like a threat to Jade Cargill's
But
title
no,
reign,
you
but
only want to have her go after the
the world
AEW,
title, the women's
the
world
women's
title.
world title,
Yeah,
and then you just don't see her ever again afterwards.
that's kind of
Nothing
stupid
against Nyla Rose, but
Yeah,
she's only used like here and there, and then like, oh well, we don't really have
yeah.
anything for her,
Although right
which
now,
really sucks because if you've noticed, a lot of the former champions, you don't really see them
yeah,
other than Britt Baker. I mean, Britt Baker's
yeah.
your top women's wrestler on that brand, but like Riho, you hardly see. Nyla Rose, you hardly see. Um, Britt Baker, you do see because she's literally your top champion. You know,
Sheeta is that
Hikaru
whole thing
Shida is
you
kind of
mentioned that.
here and there.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about it. We don't know what's truly going on with that whole situation. I think it's just that she's hurt. I think that she's truly just out because she actually is truly hurt. I don't think there's anything going on between her and Tony Khan. Of course, I mean, we don't really know. There's been no reports or anything about that. All we know is that there was, some weird things about her not being able to show up for her match. She had to get replaced by Chris Statlander. She was in Japan. All this other stuff. So we don't know what's truly going on with that. We don't know if she's truly hurt, if there's something going on backstage with her and Tony Khan. From what I'm hearing, Tony Khan, I don't know if it's just his ego is getting too big for his pockets or not, because he's letting a lot of these great guys go because he's not giving them the money that they want.
Not to mention, he's also continuously bashing WWE, and it's like, for what? You're literally not even like, yeah, you may be winning in like the key demographic and all that stuff, but viewership, you are not winning that against WWE. So
I will say, at least they're having better chances of selling places out a lot better than WWE right now.
Well, yeah, because they can actually draw tickets.
Mm-hmm. Because Forbidden Door sold out like.
Oh yeah.
Just pre-sale.
It's because of Jay White. Jay White single-handedly sold out the United Center, just like he single-handedly sold out Madison Square Garden.
Let's get back on topic here. So, yes. Now, with the first debut,
he looks familiar.
Yeah.
Looks like he almost as if he ran a diamond mine back in the day.
That's because he did.
Malcolm Bivens.
Stokely
Hathaway.
Yep. Stokely Hathaway is now with All Elite. He is now elite.
He is All Elite, but also.
And looks to be the new manager of the Baddies and Jade Cargill, which is perfect because nothing against Mark Sterling.
He wasn't a good fit for Jade Cargill.
It makes sense to have him as the manager for
Tony
them. And Jade Cargill. I think it's just going to propel Jade Cargill to newer and greater heights.
Yes. But also, the Baddies were about to beat down on Anna Jay and Ruby. Was it Ruby Soho or was it Chris No, it was Chris Statlander. Next thing you know.
Guess what? We do get another debut. She looks familiar. She was once in NXT. And also on the main roster.
I guess you could call her a
goddess. Yes. Athena, formerly known
as Ember
Moon, is now joined All Elite Wrestling, and she hopefully will get a title shot at the TBS title.
It was just the right moment. It was just the right time.
But the real question is, before that ever happens, will we see a 6-woman tag team match first? I really do think so. You're going to get the Baddies
versus
and Jade Cargill
that team of Anna Jay, Chris Statlander,
Yes.
and Athena.
Yeah, I think it's going to happen on Dynamite later tonight. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty
If not Dynamite,
100%.
then definitely Rampage.
Yes. We're definitely going to see it sometime, well, either Wednesday or Friday.
Yeah.
And honestly, I'm all for it. But yes, I think that Athena's in some way, shape, or form will get either a TBS title shot or an AEW Women's World title shot. I think more so TBS title. You want to just bring her in and have her, involved with Jade Cargill if it wasn't for the TBS championship. So I really do think that Athena is going to be Jade Cargill's next opponent, and all the power to her. I really do hope that she's going to be the one that beats Jade Cargill, because I hate to say it, Athena did win the NXT Women's World Champion back back in the day.
I believe she's
why not have her
maybe
win the TBS championship in AEW?
Although I don't know if necessarily, but I mean, if you bring her in and build her up to becoming a TBS champion, and then when she loses that, eventually building her up to the women's world title, that's okay with me.
Mm.
But if you ask me, I think she should be skyrocketed straight away to the women's world title picture.
Right. So
that's just me.
Moving forward, we have the trios match that should have happened last pay-per-view at Revolution. Didn't happen because Rey Fenix was hurt.
Yeah.
So we got it this pay-per-view at Double or Nothing. The House of Black and Death Triangle face off against each other in a pretty decent back and forth contest. We figured it would be.
Oh, but what happened after? What led to the House of Black winning?
Yeah. We figured it was finally
only a matter of time
that Julia Hart joins the House of Black. She spits the purple mist into
Pac's
face.
Yes.
And gets beaten with the black mask.
Yes.
From Malachi Black, and the House of Black beats Death Triangle.
The House of Black
has Julia Hart finally joined the house.
Why wouldn't she have?
I think so.
It only makes sense. Why else would she have spit the black mist into Pac's face?
Yes. But hey, I don't think that this rivalry is truly done yet.
Well, but hey, the house always wins.
Yes, they do. So I don't think this rivalry is done yet.
Hell no. Not by a long shot.
Not by any kind of long shot.
Something tells me now
the storytelling that they got with these two trios. It would be nice if Tony Khan could just debut the trios tag team titles, and that these two factions compete for the new trios tag team titles, because that would be awesome for All Out. That would be awesome.
Or better yet, what they should do, and what they definitely could do, is announce a trios tournament to crown the first ever trios.
Come on
champions.
Now, Tony Khan. The titles are already made. Do it. Do it for All Out.
It only makes sense to hold the tournament to crown the inaugural champion.
You have a lot of trios.
With the finals of that tournament culminating at All Out.
Exactly. So you have a lot of trios.
And I could be a booker.
You have a lot of trios in AEW.
Yeah.
It makes sense. I mean, you already made the titles. You know there's going to be other titles that are new titles that are going to come out, and those are one of them. So why not do it? Do it for All Out. So, all right, moving forward. That's one off topic of that. So we have the finals of the men's Owen Hart Foundation tournament.
First.
So Adam Cole and Samoa Joe, face off against each other. I thought it would have made a little bit more sense with Samoa Joe getting the victory. Well, it didn't happen that way.
Let's not talk about. Let's not fail to mention Adam Cole's tribute attire the pink and black.
Yes, that was awesome.
So, but
Well, it was more so pink than
it was more pink than yes.
Mm-hmm.
But regardless, it was a tribute. So.
Mm-hmm. But it was a nice little tribute. I like. It would have made more sense of Samoa Joe winning, but I get
The
it.
tribute is
We
what,
did say that if he did lose, I mean, he still has more things going on. He has, Jay Lethal and Sanjay Dutt and Satnam
Satnam Singh.
Singh. So
Plus, he still is the Ring of Honor television champion. So
exactly. So the loss is not going
even
to
in
entirely
I was
hurt
gonna
him
say
too
even
much.
in defeat, Samoa Joe still looks strong as a champion.
I'm just hoping that with the men's and women's that won it, that it helps them like at least to like some kind of title match or if not anything. So Adam Cole does beat Samoa Joe, but with the help of Bobby Fish. And
Yes.
is now the first winner of the Owen Hart Foundation men's tournament and edges his name and gets a nice looking title to add to
Yes,
his collection of titles.
which by the way, if any of you watching are very old school pro wrestling fans, you will note that the Owen Championship that the well, okay, actually, no, I was gonna say we'll save that for the next match with the women's finals because that's when they actually
Yes.
unveil it.
So Britt Baker and Ruby Soho, it is very sad because Ruby Soho has gotten so many opportunities to go after in tournaments, and yet again falls up short against Britt Baker.
Well, let's not just let's not mention also just all the like I guess you could say championship opportunities. That
Yeah, she has had.
Soho's had.
She's had the women's world championship against Britt Baker, lost. She was in the TBS tournament finals and lost to Jade Cargill.
Yeah.
Let's
then just say that.
Then this tournament, she went up against Britt Baker yet again.
Yes.
And loses to Britt Baker.
Let's just say that Ruby Soho doesn't really have.
And they usually say that the third time is a charm. Well, not in the case of Ruby Soho, yes. Unfortunately. When is it going to finally be her time to get a chance? Do something with a TBS title. I know she lost to Jay Cargill before, but doesn't mean she can't get something going soon. Like, how much more are you going to build up Ruby Soho just to have her lose again? Because that just derails all the momentum that she had in those tournaments. And even bringing her in and having all those wins, it just keeps on derailing her. She has a decent record, too, but shouldn't be just delegated to Dark and Dark Elevation.
I agree, because at that point you wasted a signing on Ruby Soho.
Yeah.
Like, you brought her in as this big deal, and you were going to make her, like, this, but now look at her. Like, pretty much almost a year into her run in AEW, she's had, at this point, I guess you could say 3 championship opportunities if you want to even count the Owen Cup and the Owen Tournament. She's had 3 championship opportunities that have completely been squandered.
I know.
Like, what the hell are you doing with Ruby Soho if you're not going to pull the trigger and make her a champion or even, like, make her win this Owen Cup tournament, which would have led to bigger and better things?
It makes absolutely no sense to me. It really does. And I just don't understand why Britt Baker had to win here. Same thing with Adam Cole. It should have been Samoa Joe and Ruby Soho, like we were saying.
Agree.
Like Marty and I were saying both before we were, starting to record this. It should have been both of them. It would have made more sense. Because if you did truly have it where if whoever wins could get a future title shot, then Samoa Joe could eventually go after, the AEW World Title, and then same thing with Ruby Soho could get a title shot after, Thunder Rosa.
Yeah, and then at that point, Samoa Joe would be a dual champion. He would be holding the Ring of Honor television title and potentially like the AEW World Title or the TNT title. So yeah, now that we've talked about the results of who won the Owen Cup. Let's talk about those titles that they won, which at this point they are glorified trophies. Like the
Mm,
titles are trophies. They're not like actual belts that you can like defend or whatever. But regardless, those championships are actually a callback to like I said
yep,
before,
Stampede.
old school. Yeah, if you're an old school wrestling fan that watches our show, you would know that those Owen Hart Cup championship trophies were a callback to the old Stampede Wrestling Championships, the promotion that was owned and run by Stu Hart. That you saw an early, like you saw young Owen Hart, Bret Hart, like all those guys growing up in the Canadian, like it was a Canadian territory owned by Stu Hart, and that's how you got to see the early days of these up and coming Canadian professional wrestlers
Right.
like Owen Hart, like Bret Hart, before Bret ultimately went to WWF and before Owen eventually went to New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
you know,
Let's just say that Stu Hart is just the GOAT. Has created some
oh
great
yes, he
talent
created some great talent in his own children, and he also trained a lot of great talent that are his
in the
ultimate
Hart
family.
Hart
Yeah,
Dungeon.
the
Yes.
Hart Dungeon, Hart family. Um, he trained Chris Jericho. He trained Lance Storm. Like a lot of these Canadian wrestlers that grew up in and around the like areas of Canada, more than likely were trained by Stu Hart.
So it was nice that AEW did do this foundation tournament for Dr. Martha's Hart
And it's a great way to honor the legacy and career
of
of
her
Owen
late
Hart
husband.
because, God forbid, uh, WWE, like, I mean, okay, here's the thing. The only reason why she won't allow, like, and you won't see WWE mention or whatever by Dr. Martha Hart is because of what they did. Like, the I don't really need to say much about it. Just like if you want to know more about it, watch that episode of Dark Side of the Ring on Owen Hart and
Yeah,
what
and
led up to his death and like what.
she thanked Dark Side of the Ring and thanked AEW and everything
Yeah,
like that because got her to open up about everything that happened. So
right. And I mean, because she spent the better part of 20 years
oh yeah,
basically being silent about like how she felt about Owen's death and like how she felt about WWE just like in a sense like wiping his carcass off of like out of the ring and like out of
right.
so you know again I'm not gonna go too much into it. Just watch that Dark Side of the Ring episode to get a better understanding of just why she feels the way she feels about WWE because like before a lot of people were saying like oh why is she still like this feel this way about WWE even after all this time. Well, you got to see where she's coming from. I mean, this was her husband that we're talking about and they basically just made him feel like you know, after what happened, like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, this is so tragic, but we have a show to put on for these fans. It's like, no, just like think about what they just went through and like the fact that you have to keep this show going. They should have stopped the show and refunded the fans.
I think so too. But
But that's enough of that
yeah, I
topic.
was about to say it's enough for that talk. So we go on to our next match. The trios mixed tag team match between American Top Team and Sammy, Ty, and Kazarian. Well, beforehand, Sammy, Ty, and Kazarian went to American Top Team in Florida
Yes.
and stole
stole their championship.
Stole
and
their
basically
championships.
Trashed the
Well,
freaking
Kazarian
deal.
almost wanted to steal the TNT championship. So I hate to say, okay, the funny thing I have about this is if you had that TNT championship right then and there,
Why did you need to?
why did you have to make a brand new
Yeah.
one with the Lakers colors? That kind of makes me like.
I mean, not that I hate the design.
I was about to say I don't hate the design either, but like if you already had that old school style like championship belt, like couldn't you just use that? I get it, it's like a prop title because you know when you win certain titles, like
You keep them as a prop.
keep them
Yeah.
as a prop, but you could still have used that as like your TNT championship
Yeah.
instead of making it as like the new like Lakers with like the gold and the purple thing there. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not shitting on the title because I think it's actually really really cool.
It is a very nice.
Kind of like a homage of like Cena when he got the U.S. title and made it the spinner belt. Got the WWE title and made it the spinner belt. So
by the way, that spinner was used for like 7 years.
I know, it's crazy.
Well, not to mention, like after a while, they just stopped it from spinning. Which why?
America Top Team, yeah, they beat the living crap out of Sami Ty and Kazarian. Can we talk about Ethan Page just beating the crap out of Sammy Guevara, and then Kazarian almost damn near freaking leaving on Sammy and Ty because he just had enough of their crap.
I don't blame Kazarian.
I don't blame Kazarian either.
I'm sorry.
You know what I would like to see? I would like to kind of see Sammy and Kazarian kind of feud.
That should be the next feud for
I really do think so too. I think Sammy and Kazarian should feud.
Now,
even if it's a short little feud, it should still be a feud that happens.
At least we can now say, at least we can now breathe a sigh of relief and say, thank God.
Thank you, American Top Team. I never thought I would say that, but thank you, American Top Team. Yes, I'm kind of glad that this feud is over with.
Who were the heels in the match, and who were the faces?
I would probably go with Sammy. Dynamic. I would probably go with Sammy, Ty, and Kazarian because yes, as the heels, except for maybe Kazarian. Maybe just.
I was going to say Kazarian would have been more of like a tweener.
Yeah.
In that match.
But don't get me wrong, he kind of was on the side of Sammy and Ty too. I mean, they were all on the side breaking. Yeah, so I'm glad the American Top Team got the victory here. Paige Van Zandt didn't look terrible in the match. You could definitely tell she.
Yeah, I mean, she
looked a little bit better, but she definitely has a sense of.
Well, hey, how about that? How about that tornado DDT that she hit?
Yeah, that was really pretty.
That was a great showcase of like what she has learned in her short time of like learning how to wrestle.
So I really do think that she
has a promising career as a pro wrestler.
I think so. I mean, she's not. I don't. No, she is signed to All Elite Wrestling. That's right. Yeah. So why don't they just push her to go after like the TBS championship? Have her go after the freaking J Cargo. Fuck.
Yeah.
Something.
Build her up.
Do something with.
Yeah.
You know, with her.
But see, that's another thing too. You know, I hate to say it, but she's definitely seeming like a better wrestler right now than Ronda Rousey.
Yeah, probably not gonna lie there.
Just saying.
Going for it. So a match that kind of made absolutely no sense happened. So I'm not gonna go into it in much detail. So Kyle O'Reilly did defeat Darby Allin. That match just got basically thrown together. Darby's like, well, I'm gonna face you, Kyle O'Reilly, and then Kyle O'Reilly's like, well, didn't say anything. He went out there to just beat Darby Allin.
Darby Allin said he was going to face Kyle O'Reilly, and Kyle O'Reilly's like, okay, sure.
Okay, I'll go out there and just collect a paycheck.
Yeah, there you go.
So, yeah, Kyle O'Reilly does beat Darby Allin in high fashion. That's all I'm going to say. So, moving on, we get the Women's World Championship title match. Decent.
It was a great match.
I think it was a really good match.
Very good match.
Serena Deeb showed that like she can really put on some good matches.
Well, not to mention
same thing with Thunder Rosa as well. Who beforehand did show, oh, hey, this is my true face and stuff like that. I wish it was kind of odd to see her without the face paint,
Right, yeah,
to
it
be
was a
honest.
little it was a little different, but like nonetheless, she's a very beautiful woman.
Yeah, she is.
She's showing off
I'm really glad that she's still the women's world champion. As far as who could be her next opponent, I have no idea. I
although
think,
I do kind of look at it and be like, man, why couldn't they have given it to Serena Deeb?
yeah, Serena Deeb, I think
Although,
deserves some more,
yes,
but
like,
she already has won one in NWA, so
oh, well, see, that's the thing though. NWA Women's World Title, like, okay, yeah, it was a big title win for her, but at the same time, it's like, what did it do for her career in AEW? You know what I mean? Like, and I'm not trashing Serena Deeb, and I'm not trashing the NWA because, let's face it. At the end of the day,
hmm
we talk about NWA, but yeah, it just was one of those things of they just gave her the NWA Women's World Title just to give her the
right.
NWA World Title
I
and
know.
have a victory over Thunder Rosa. But at the same time, it's it's not on a grand stage like
hmm
Double or Nothing. At least if Serena Deeb had beaten Thunder Rosa at Double or Nothing, at least she can say "Oh yeah, I beat you again, but this time I did it on a grander stage." But you know, as far as I know, this rivalry is now 1-1, as far as I know.
Yeah, I mean,
But
Thunder
who's
Rosa,
to say they couldn't have a rubber match? Who's to say they couldn't have a
they
rubber
very
match
well
and
could.
have a rematch for the world title
I mean, they could.
potentially?
Um, I think Serena Deeb definitely will get there to winning some kind of AEW Women's Championship. I don't know if it's going to be the World Championship or it could be the TBS Championship. I don't know. I think at some point her time's going to be coming. I don't know when exactly it will be, but Thunder Rosa does beat her in high fashion. Um, Thunder Rosa has been nothing short of an amazing women's competitor. Um, you
Absolutely.
know, with the time when she was the NWA
That's
Women's
pretty
World
much how she was
Championship,
brought
and
into
then
AEW anyway.
as the women, AEW Women's World Champion, she has been an amazing competitor for AEW. I'm glad that she's there.
Yes.
She has really
Oh,
grown
which, by the
as a
way,
competitor, and
can I just speak on that a little bit? It is crazy to think that how Thunder Rosa essentially came into AEW was initially as the NWA Women's World
oh, I
Champion.
know.
That's just a crazy thought because you know it was she has come so far
Mhm.
from being the NWA Women's World Champion to now she's the AEW Women's World
Right, I
Champion.
know.
That's so crazy.
It is.
And it in the span of not even 2 years, just about. Not even the span of 2 years. That's wild to think about.
All right. Now, on to the best, and I
Oh
mean the
my
best
god.
match of the card.
Yes.
The Jericho
Yes.
Appreciation Society against Santana Ortiz, Eddie Kingston, and the Blackpool Combat Club.
Dude,
Man,
that match
these
lived up to its
these
name. It
two
was sure
factions
as hell.
went at each other.
Yes.
Blood, going
Blood, sweat,
to
and tears,
yes,
man.
you know,
Yes.
you know,
I guess you could
off the
say it was
ladders
blood
into
and
the
guts too.
tables. Um,
Yes.
Bleeding, beating the living crap out of each other. Almost damn near a man on fire from Eddie Kingston to Chris
That
Jericho.
match lived
Um,
up to its name of being called Anarchy in the Arena.
yes,
It lived up to the
it
name.
did. It was anarchy in the
It
arena, all
was
right.
pure, unadulterated anarchy.
Yes. So, man,
And yeah, can we talk about that spot of where Eddie Kingston was looking to set Chris
they go
Jericho
on
on
fire,
fire?
and then freaking Danielson bats the damn thing out of the hand. I
And
want to know what's going to go on with Brian Danielson and Eddie Kingston because
I think those two
afterwards
men are going to brawl.
they beat the living crap out of each
Oh, yeah.
other. I really do think that there's going to be something that's going to go on with Eddie Kingston and Brian Danielson in the near future because
But if that's the
Eddie
case,
Kingston
then
wanted Chris Jericho 6 feet
yes.
down underground.
If
He
that's
wanted
the
to burn
case,
him alive.
Yeah.
It's
If
crazy.
if that's the case, then where does Moxley lie in that storyline, in that feud with Danielson and Eddie Kingston?
I'm not too sure. I really don't know, honestly.
Because on one hand, Eddie Kingston is Moxley's boy. Like that's they traveled the road together. But on the other hand, Danielson is Moxley's like combat partner, like his partner in crime, his tag team partner too. It's like where would his allegiance lie? Would it lie with the Blackpool Combat Club or would it lie with Eddie
Then again,
Kingston?
we could see Santana Ortiz at a Kingston versus like a trios tag team match where it's Santana Ortiz at a Kingston against the Blackpool Combat Club. That could be a
Oh,
possibility too.
yeah. There's so many possibilities that could come out of that. There's so many
So,
possibilities. Like that's the beauty of pro wrestling is you can make magic out of literally like
mhm.
the smallest little
So I
like
really do
detail.
think that's going to happen. But yes, as I called it, kind of figured it was going to happen. I was going to say I think the JS will win. They did. They beat the Combat Club Santana Ortiz and Eddie Kingston. Um, Definitely the best match of the card, which is kind of sad. I really do think that should have been the main event. Because they even took off the top ropes.
Oh my
So
god,
I feel
yeah.
bad for the
That poor ring
things,
crew,
the
man.
poor
That
ring
poor ring
crew.
crew. They had to spend that much more time to assemble the ring for the next match.
Yes, they did. So, but again, congrats to the Jericho Appreciation Society because right now they kind of showcase that sports entertainers may be better than pro wrestlers, as they say. But come on now, are they really sports entertainers? They're all professional wrestlers. Come on now. Um, but man, Jericho Appreciation Society definitely knows how to frickin' brawl. That's for damn sure.
Yeah.
And don't piss off Chris Jericho
Oh
because
no. He'll throw a
he's
fireball in
throw a
your face
fireball in the
because
face
he's
because
a
he's a
wizard.
wizard. Yes. So moving on. Well, it looks like the Andrade family
Ah,
office
yes.
has got a new business partner and will grow even more with a new member. Thoughts?
Yes. Who is that new member, you may ask? Who? None other than former Ring of Honor World Champion Roosh El Toro Blanco. You may not know him by name. You may not even know his face, but trust me, you watch enough of his matches. You go back and watch a few of his matches, even from Ring of Honor. You will know who Roosh is.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he may be a threat to the AEW roster. He may not even be signed to AEW. He might still technically be like a member of Ring of Honor that just happened to get brought into
Right,
like
but I think he's
AEW.
definitely
But
going to be a business member and a
yes,
part of the Andrade family office because he's sick and tired of losing and being on the losing end all the time. Well, I hate to say it, maybe time to get rid of the Andrade family office and
that
just
would
and just
probably
being
help.
maybe just being a tag team with that guy and then all
Yeah,
the other guys that most of the other tag teams that you have with the Andrade family office can just go ahead and do their own thing. So yeah, it's nice to see more competitors heading into all of the wrestling. So Scorpio Sky, yes, he has his new TNT title, and then asks, who's the next in line for his title? None other than Dante Martin himself is going to get a challenge for the TNT title
I mean that's a
later
nice
tonight.
little.
Our
That's a
thoughts
nice
about
little.
that? Do we think that Dante Martin could step up to the challenge and maybe dethrone Scorpio
I don't know if
Sky?
he's gonna dethrone, but it's a nice touch to see Dante Martin, like at least getting some sort of title opportunity.
Mm,
Granted, it's not necessarily a tag team title opportunity with his brother Darius, but at least he's getting an opportunity at a championship.
yeah, so it's nice to see. I think that Dante Martin can be definitely a true competitor against Scorpio Sky. Because no, this is
I
not
even think he
this is
has
not his first TNT
yeah.
title opportunity.
I even think he has the credentials to be a potential, champion in general.
Yeah, I
Like,
think so too.
regardless of whether it's a singles or a tag team title. Like, he has the
It
credentials
would be
to
nice
be
to
a
see
great
Top
champion.
Flight becoming future tag team titles,
The thing is, Darius just
but
needs to stay healthy.
Can Darius just be able to stay healthy? Because right
I
now
mean,
it's really
granted,
derailing Dante
yeah.
for having a career
Well,
in
see,
all-elite
that's the
wrestling.
thing too. Is this latest injury technically really isn't too much of Dante or of Darius's fault
Yeah, no,
because
exactly.
it's a car accident. You can't predict a car accident,
No, you can't.
so
But yes, um,
it's
Dante
just
will
very
step up to
unfortunate.
the plate.
Yeah,
You'll get to see it there in was it in Los Angeles? Yeah, Los
yeah,
Angeles.
yeah.
So
Tonight, Los Angeles,
Los Angeles tonight.
Kia Forum.
Um, yeah. So hopefully the LA our Southern California boy there. I hate to say it.
SCU.
Yes, gets to retain his title, but it wouldn't shock me if Dante was to win it and finally have his first singles or first title in AEW. But we'll see. So going forward, we get the trios tag team match of the triple threat
Triple
tag
threat
team
tag team.
match,
Yeah,
Jurassic Express Team Taz and Swerve in their glory. In a pretty decent match there. Definitely couldn't live up to the Anarchy and Arena match, but yeah, Jurassic Express beat Team Taz and Swerve in their glory to retain their tag team titles. Um, and again, I do think that Jurassic Express will face off against the Hardys at All Out.
it's
We'll
very
happen to see,
possible. It's very
but
possible.
yeah, decent match there between all three tag teams. Now we got down to the main event.
Yes. Now,
Wow, this was a shocker.
so quick disclaimer about this main event.
We
Unfortunately,
really didn't watch most of it. We were
the pay per view went on way too damn long. I'm
it
sorry.
did.
So, but and even then, I wasn't like really paying too much attention to the match. But the one thing that I did see uh, was the finish and what led up to the finish. So Paul Turner goes down in the match, and Hangman has a great opportunity to strike CM Punk with the title and potentially strike Punk with the title and possibly retain his championship. But you could see Hangman. He's like, "Do I want to do it?" And he's like, "No, no. I'm gonna be an honorable champion. I'm gonna fight with honor." And here he is. He's ready. He's ready to hit the buckshot, but he slips up. CM Punk, he's got him up. GTS, cover. Paul Turner makes that slow 1, 2, 3. And
Yes,
CM Punk
CM
is
Punk
your new
finally wins
AEW.
a world title after 11 years.
Yes.
And he's the
Yeah.
first man ever to win the ROH, the AEW, the WWE title, world title, and the ECW championship, which is
Yeah.
insane.
Wow.
Insane. He has
He's
won
won.
5 world titles and
I was gonna say yeah, because he Ring of Honor.
3 in
AEW.
WWE, 1 in ROH, and 1 in AEW.
Well, see, okay, what I was gonna say is he's won ROH, AEW, WWE, technically WCW and ECW world titles.
Yes.
That's like the career of CM Punk just continues to.
To just be amazing.
Yes.
Congrats to CM Punk.
That man is gonna go down as a damn legend.
There was a report that was out. Apparently his next competitor is his former rival. He wants to go after Bryan Danielson next for the AEW World Heavyweight title. How do we feel about that? Does that
Um,
do we
you
want
know, I have no doubt in my mind that the match is going to be an absolute classic, an
I think
absolute
Bryan
banger.
Danielson. It's nothing against CM Punk, but I feel like he might be a transitional champion, like just like a hoorah, like just like win it to like say that you're a world champion, you finally did it one last time. But I
I don't
really
know.
do think that
I
Bryan
think that would be a
Danielson.
big slap in the face, though, to Punk, to tell you the truth. But at the same time,
I
what they
will
could
say
do.
I don't think he's gonna hold it for over 400 days like he did
Oh
with
no,
WWE. There's no
no.
absolute way.
But
I
what
mean,
I could
they
see,
could
they
have
could
him.
go that route. But what I was gonna say is what I could see happening is they potentially book like a draw between Punk and Danielson because you don't necessarily want to have Bryan Danielson looking weak in a loss to CM Punk, but you
Right.
also don't want Punk to look weak in a loss when as the champion and losing the belt after he literally like just won it.
Oh, I know.
So
So
do you book a time limit draw? Do you book a double countout? Do you book a double disqualification?
I
Like what do you do
I don't know all about
to
that. I mean, I think that
you
you
definitely
book it
shouldn't
clean.
book a double disqualification if that's like, you know, definitely shouldn't book a double count. I definitely shouldn't book a double disqualification, if anything. But that's the thing, too. I don't necessarily know if I would have it the same result as Hangman and Danielson, where it goes to a 60-minute time limit draw. Like, because not for nothing, like okay, don't get me wrong. Uh, if you're gonna do it the right way, and especially do it to where like the fans don't necessarily expect it. So like, but at the same time, it's like the fans would expect it if it's Punk and Danielson like this soon,
Hmm.
because Danielson right now is riding like a huge wave of momentum, being with the Blackpool Combat Club. So, and not to mention, like I said, Punk just won the world title. Like, so you can't possibly have this go wrong. Like they would just have to book it like to, you know. But at the same time, it's like if you gotta book it to a 60-minute time limit draw, book it to a 60-minute time limit draw.
Right.
You know,
I just don't know if CM Punk, and I'm not discrediting his age and just the way that he can be. I just don't know if he can physically go 60 minutes against anybody. Honestly, I hate to say it.
that is a good point. I didn't even think about that. If that's the case, then Brian would have to carry the whole match.
Probably would. Um,
So
it's nice to see CM Punk winning another world title. I think it's really nice that AEW went that route with it.
yeah,
It sucks that, Hangman had to drop it, but I think there's other things you can do with Hangman and Page. Um,
make him the inaugural Triple Crown champion in
yes,
AEW.
please. Have him go after the TNT title. I think that would make sense to have him
Some may
do.
call it a demotion, but at the same time, it's like, no. How do you figure it would be a demotion?
Because I think he's the one that is well deserving of being the first ever. If not him, then maybe Scorpio Sky.
Or even maybe Omega. But at the
Mm,
same time, it's like, you know,
Omega's, yeah,
but at that point, if you make Omega the inaugural champion, then I guarantee you it would be met with a lot of hate. So, if anything, make it somebody unexpected like Scorpio, like Hangman.
yeah, exactly. So, everybody, it was nice to have to do this pay-per-view special. This is going to conclude the second annual pay-per-view special. Please make sure to follow us on social media at Tinkle Sports. Um, and then, of course, go ahead and subscribe to Tinkle Sports Entertainment as we have this show every Wednesday at 5 typically. Out of turn for every Tuesday at 5. And, of course, Sunday morning Tinkle every Sunday at 9 a.m. As always, everybody, we will see you in the next episode.